This is the senseless skin experiment. Now, what you need for the senseless skin experiment, ideally a human hair from someone's head, preferably yours if your hair's long enough. Now my hair's long enough for this. I know you can't see right now very clearly, but you'll see more clearly in a minute. I've got one of my hairs here, okay? My goodness, there's a bit of grey on it. So anyway, I've got this one here. Now if you can't get a hair from your own head and you've got nobody to volunteer any for you, then what I suggest is use a bit of very thin cotton. Okay, so I've got some cotton here, some thread. Not necessarily cotton thread, it could be nylon thread, very thin thread. But if you're going to use very thin thread, make sure you can stretch it out a bit so it goes a bit straighter. This is a bit curly on here right now, so straighten out. Okay, I'm not going to use that, I'm actually going to use a hair, human hair, so I'm going to leave that to the side. Okay, so there's my hair there, just about, see it? Now what I'm going to ask you to do is get a hair, hopefully you've got a long hair, rest your hand somewhere, you can do it in the air, but I'm actually going to rest my hand on the table. And just drag the hair across the back of your hand so that you can see it bumping across your skin. Okay, so you can actually see it bumping across your skin. Fingers together, bumping across, okay, right to the end. And notice what you notice. And then, turn your hand over and do the same thing. Bumping a hair across your palm of your hand so you can see it bumping. Right across your fingertips, okay? And then try some other places. So for example, how about the back of your arm? Make sure you can see it bumping along. Okay? How about the inside of your arm? How about side of your face? Please not near your eyes, okay? What about across your lips? Across your lips. Okay. What about across the top of your head? Of course, I can't see it bumping, but I reckon I can get close enough. Right, you do it and see what you notice. I'm going to tell you what most people tell me and what I notice myself and see if it's the same as yours. When I did the hair across the back of my hand, I could feel it without any problem. I could feel the hair bashing against my skin, if you like, one way of describing it, isn't it? I can feel the hair moving past over my skin. When I did it on the palm of my hand, I can't actually feel it at all. I can't feel it. Occasionally people say they can feel it very slightly, but I can't feel it at all on mine. I must confess I never can when I use a human hair. I can't feel it. Even right across the very sensitive tips of my fingers, I can't feel it. Amazing. I could feel it there. I can feel it here. I can feel it here. I can feel it across my lips. I can't feel it there. Can't feel it there. So, how come I can feel it in some places and not on my very sensitive fingertips? Or hardly at all for some of you. What's going on? All over your body, you've got many, many thousands of tiny little touch sensors that can feel it when something presses your skin. Now, if we could see them under a very, very powerful microscope, one way of imagining how they might look could be a bit like in layers of an onion, a little circular structure with lots of little layers. And how it works roughly is that when we press something against our skin, the skin pushes and squashes that little structure, that little touch sensor. And all those little layers start moving against each other. They slide past each other. And when they do that, they release a little signal. It sends right up to your brain, if it's from your hand, say, right up to your arm, into your brain, eventually anyway. And your brain can sense it as a touch. Okay, so that's how we touch stuff, and that's how we can feel things pushing on us, little touch sensors. Of course, your fingers are very, very sensitive usually. You can touch things really easy to sense stuff there. But remember, for this to work, whatever's touching you has to change the shape, has to deform the skin it's touching, has to push it to make it move so that it can squash those little sensors or change their shape. Something like a human hair is so fine that when I do that, for me and my skin, that hair isn't heavy enough, if you like. That hair isn't heavy enough to squash the skin and deform it. Okay, it's not heavy enough. Now, of course, some of you, and children in particular, sometimes your skin's a bit thinner and softer than my crusty old hands, and you may have felt your hair a little bit. But it's very unlikely you felt it as good as when you did it across the back of your hand. I can feel it really easily now. But remember, I said to you, remember, your fingertips, I've got loads and loads of little tiny touch sensors clustered in a group there. Far more in that little area at the end of your fingertip. There's tons and tons of them compared to say on the back of your arm or the back of your hand. And yet I felt it really easy here. I felt it really easy there. I felt it easy there, and I felt it easy there. I felt it very easy there too. What's the difference? Well, my arm's a good clue. Look, hair. Got loads of hairs, and even where you can't see them, they're usually there if you look close enough with a good magnifying glass. See, that looks like there's no hairs a bit, doesn't it? But there's tons there. So when this bashes against hair, it makes that little hair move and shake as it bashes it, and it shakes, and that vibration travels down right into your skin. And at the base of the hair, there's lots of little nerves wrapped around it, and they can sense when it moves. So the reason you can feel it is because it's bashing against the hairs, and its signal's been vibrating down, making those little nerves do something when it feels the sense of the vibration, and then those little nerves send a signal to your brain, say something's touching you. So where you've got hair, it's easy to do it. There, the side of my face. No hairs on the palm of my hands. I'm not a werewolf, so there's none there, and that's why I can't feel it there either. But there is hair on my face, and even the girls, you've got hair there too. Even though you can't see it, and you probably don't want it there anyway, but you have got it there. You'll be able to feel it on your face too, and that means you must have hair there, otherwise you won't feel it. Your lips though, unless you're a werewolf, I hope are not hairy, okay? But I can feel it on my lips, so what's going on there? I told you I couldn't feel it here because there's no hairs. But I haven't got any hairs on my lips, but I can feel it on my lips. Well, the reason is because your senses there are extremely sensitive, even more than your fingers. Your lips are really sensitive, and the skin there, right on your lip, is actually quite thin, and the sensors are probably quite shallow there too. And you don't need much force to change those little sensors' shape, and so they can actually sense things quite easily. Remember across my hair, I couldn't feel it? That's because really I've got a big mat of hair there. So the little vibrations that I'm causing when I bump that across is really just being absorbed by all my hair, so it doesn't really travel down into my skin. So that's why you can't feel it. We've got lots of hair like this, but only fine hair there, where there's not too much bunched up. I can feel that easily. So you can only feel it when there's lots of hairs to bash against. And by the way, if you've ever picked up a little spider, I hope you're brave enough, if you pick up a tiny spider, one of those little ones especially, if you have it walking across your hand, quite often you can't even feel it. Because the little feet on a spider, if we're going to call it the feet, and the legs, their little feet are so tiny, a bit like the human hair, your little sensors aren't sensitive enough to feel it. But if that little spider then crawls around your hand and starts crawling up the back of your arm, you'll feel it easily, because now its little tiny body is bashing against the hairs, and so you can feel it crawling up you that way. So that's how you can sense some things in different ways in this experiment. Okay, what about a few variables? Well, I've already given you a few clues with the first instructions. How about doing it in some other places that you haven't yet tried? So of course I've done my arm, and hopefully you did the same. You've done the side of your face, you did your lips, you did over your hair. What about other places? So make sure you can get to the skin that you're going to use. Obviously your legs, the bottom part of your legs is an interesting place. Your feet, places that are easy to get to, isn't it? And particularly if you're doing it with some friends, that'd be good fun. So do the bottom part of your legs, take your shoes and socks off, as long as they're not too poggy, and do your feet as well. That'd be interesting. Would it be different to your hands, do you think? And what part might be able to feel it and what part not? That'd be interesting. What about using something that's not thin human hair? Well, of course, I've given you already a little hint with that, didn't I? I said about the cotton. So what about finding some other thin thread and trying it with different thread, so it gets, maybe find stuff that gets a little bit thicker and a bit thicker and a bit thicker and a bit thicker. And maybe always do it across your hand initially and see how thick it has to get until you can actually feel it easily. I'll see if you can think of a few more things.